What are the 10 mistakes people are making that's creating divorce? And when there's only chemistry of the body, without chemistry of the soul, there's no future. You pick the wrong person because you use marriage to escape your life. So I think I should give you a background about myself. My great-grandfather was born in Halab, Syria, and moved to Yerushalayim. From Yerushalayim, they went to Buenos Aires to Cairo, where I was born. So I was born in Cairo, Egypt. My father and my uncles were Talmidim of Rabbi Ovadia Yosef. He was chief rabbi of the country. That was his first job after he came out of Yeshivat Porat Yosef. We went to New York. I was raised in the Syrian community in Brooklyn. I helped start a kollel called Keter Tzion, one of the best kollelim in New York, I think, with my friends. Our first graduate probably speaks here all the time, Eli Mansour. I ran Avot Ovanim for them. I went to Yeshiva University High School. After that, I went to NYU and Harvard College. After that, NYU Medical School, where I specialized in sports medicine and surgery, orthopedic surgery. I was a doctor for the Olympic Games in 1984 in Los Angeles. I came back to start a practice in New York. I happen to have been very lucky. In the Syrian community, we had a treasure, an Ashkenaz rabbi called Rabbi Victor Miller. He was a Gadol Olam. I knew him since I was 12. He influenced me a lot in my life. He taught me a lot about human relations. And he encouraged me, and he said to me, you'll be a doctor in the morning, and you're going to help people. You'll be a doctor in the afternoon, but you have to help Klal Yisrael in the morning. Your job is to teach. So I taught in many Ashkenaz yeshivot, young guys coming back from Israel. They just came back from 1 year or 2 years, and now they're going to college, or now they were going to work. So we learned Chumash, Mishnah, Gemara, etc. Many of them started asking me questions about dating. I didn't know anything 30 years ago. I started reading every book. And quickly I found myself under 5 hupot, 10, 100, 200, 400. It was already over 1,000 that I was involved in shidduchim. I moved to Miami in 2001 because I thought that I was running away from the lawyers in New York. They were making me crazy with these stupid lawsuits to make money. But Hashem had other plans. I helped Rabbi Galimidi start the first Avot Ovanim program in Miami because I was an expert at that. I ran that for 20 years in New York. But really the reason why Hashem pushed me there is I was teaching in the University of Miami to people really not religious. Every Wednesday night, I came in my surgery uniform. I gave shiurim. I know shiurim were attended by mostly people that are not religious. They're not Shomer Torah Mitzvot. And on Friday night and Shabbat, my wife we hosted hundreds and thousands of people and helped a lot of them get married. After 6 years in Miami, I bought a house in Miami. Something strange was going on. They would not give me permission to touch the house for 3 years. I spent $50,000 on an architect. Come on, let's go already. Fix it. No, the city wants this and the city wants that. You know, Miami has hurricanes and they always have their shtuyot with that. And my house wasn't moving in New York. Nobody wanted to buy it. It doesn't make sense. You could sell a pen in Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? So I called the Tasha Rebbe in Canada, who's a big tzaddik, alav shalom. He says, Rabbi Yaakov, you had a mission in Miami, you finished it. You have to go back to New York now to take care of your children. Now, the first 3 are girls. So I really wanted certain type of hatanim. I wanted Syrian hatanim, B'nai Torah. We have a great Mossad in Brooklyn called Yeshivat Atere Torah. It's the Harvard of Sfaradi Yeshivot in the world. It's the best. And I wanted those kind of guys for my daughters. So I wasn't going to get that in Miami. So it's time to go back. So we went back. When I got back there, I didn't go back into medicine right away. I continued my work for the Kahal. Somebody put my shiurim, they were private, on Torah Anytime. Boom! I get emails from all over the world. I have a problem. Sweden, Hong Kong, China, London, Israel. And now I'm traveling, talking about it. And I said, I think I know what Hashem wants from me now. I have to park the operating room and focus on this. And that began a career 7 years ago of being a dating shadchan, a dating coach, teaching people, lecturing worldwide. I've made shidduchim for the most Hasidic Rebbes. I've made shidduchim for the most non-religious Syrians. I make shidduchim for Bukharians. I make shidduchim, the Persians, nice people. You know, they're very little tough, but you know what I'm saying? And I got a lot of expertise here. So I titled today's, the title of today's presentation is The Mother-Daughter Relationship. What you should know about and what you should speak about with your daughter. So, a joke. Ready for a joke? Because in the time of the Mishnah, before they start a shiur, they tell a joke. There is a department store. Let's call it Bloomingdale's. It's called the husband store. Okay? It works like this. You enter the building, you go up, and you could stop at every floor. You have the option to buy or to keep going up. You cannot go back down. And if you leave that floor, you exit the building. Let's start. A woman comes to the husband store. Welcome to the husband store. Floor number 1. Here we offer men who have good jobs. She's thinking, it's good, but maybe I could do better. Right? That's the way we are. She says, that's nice. Let me see what floor 2 has to offer. So she goes to Koma Shniya. And there's a sign. Here we offer men who have good jobs and love children. This is getting better. Okay? The men are getting better in value. She says, this is getting good. Maybe I could do better. So let's go to floor 3. In floor 3 she goes, here we offer men who have good jobs, love children, and are extremely good looking. Oh, she says, wow, this could be what I'm looking for. But now the Yetzer Hara is getting to her. Maybe you could do better. Let's go to floor number 4. Floor number 4, she goes up. Here we offer men who have good jobs, love children, are very good looking, and help you in the house. You can't get better than this, right? She's thinking, what else could you want in a man? But I'm intrigued. The Yetzer Hara says, let's go to floor 5. Okay, so she goes to floor 5. And there's a siman, there's a sign. Here we offer men who have good jobs, love children, are extremely handsome, help you with the house, and also tell the best jokes. By the way, I don't know, but I'm on Netflix right now. Anybody know that? I'm in Jewish Matchmaker, episode number 6. Yeah. I was the rabbi chosen for Netflix. Yeah, Aliza Ben Shalom is a very good friend of mine. We send each other clients all the time. Okay. She says, let's go to floor 6. She goes to floor 6 and she says, it says, welcome to floor number 6. You're visitor 42 million. It comes to show you, women, you can never make them happy. So, let me tell you a story. And I want you to see if you could learn something from this story. I told it this morning, and I think you're going to like it. 50 years ago in Israel, a girl is getting ready to get married, and they're working on her gown for the wedding. And her mother is standing next to her. And the seamstress is an almanah in Tel Aviv, who's a poor woman. So her parnasah is for making the dress. And the mother of the kala, she's a tough woman, right? She said, fix this, open this up, make this nicer. Every 2 weeks they come back for a fitting. Until 6 months after, when they first started, the dress is ready. And the seamstress says, here you go, you can have it, it's $4,000. She looks at it, the mother of the kala, she says, don't like it, I'm not paying. I don't like it, it's not for me. What? This is my whole life. How do I pay my rent? How do I pay the hashmal? How do I pay my bills? I don't care, that's your problem, not mine. Ooh. So the mother of the kala has a sister who's a rabbanit, rebbitzin, tzivia. So the seamstress, who's the almanah, calls her and says, you know what, your sister ordered a gown from me. I worked 6 months. I don't have a husband. I need the money. They're going to throw me in the street. Please, could you talk to her and ask your sister to pay? So the sister says to her, the mother of the kala, that's my business. Don't get involved. That's not your problem. Leave me alone. I'm not paying. Tough luck. We're going to Herzliya, to really hashuv place. We're going to get the best wedding gown. So they go to Herzliya, and they get a beautiful wedding gown. And 2 months later, it's the Yom HaChuppah. It's the day of the wedding. And you know, the wedding day, the Kala, she's VIP. Everybody's working on the Kala. The hair lady, the makeup lady. And right next to the Kala is a table with a black cup of coffee. And then, boom! It's all over the Kala. And the aunt says, oh, I'm so sorry. And the mother is burning eyes. She looks at her, she says, Tzivia, I know you did this on purpose. Because you didn't want me to take this dress. Now what are we going to do? There's 500 people waiting outside for the Hatan and Kala to come out. What are we going to do? She says, no problem. There's a dress by the seamstress, the first one. Let me go get it. Tell everyone we'll have a little delay. An hour, I'll come back. An hour later, she comes back with the dress. The Kala puts it on. She's feeling all good because she was always upset that the tears of that first seamstress were on her neshama for what she didn't get paid. So they get married, and it's good. But that night, the mother of the Kala doesn't talk to her sister. Not one night, not a week, no talking. A month, no talking. A year, no talking. 5 years, no talking. 10 years, 20 years, no talking. Between the mother of the Kala and her sister. She wouldn't forgive her. So now, 20 years later, it's time for the Kala's daughter to get married. And they're talking. He says, you know, Ima, you remember what happened with Aunt Tzvia? With the dress? She says, yes, I remember. She says, I have a secret to tell you. She says, what happened? Well, Aunt Tzvia didn't knock off the coffee. Who did? Who do you think did it? The Kala. The Kala knocked it off. And she said to her, when Aunt Tzvia saw that I did that, she says, shh, like that. Let me take the responsibility for this. Why did she do that? She says, all these years I asked Aunt Tzvia for reshut to tell you the truth. She said, no, I don't want you to have a problem with your mother. Your relationship with your mother is more important than my relationship with her. Now she gave me permission to talk and tell you the truth. That's how much she valued the relationship between a mother and a daughter. So, let's go into something here. Unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of divorce today. So let's back up and understand what are the 10 mistakes people are making that's creating divorce. And if we understand this, because I see a lot of divorced people. I made 6 shidduchim in the last year, just second time and third time marriages. I see a lot of this, especially in New York, a lot. So what are the mistakes? And these are not mistakes just for one country. I'm seeing them everywhere. I talk to people all over the world. What are the mistakes? What can we learn from them? Number 1, you pick the wrong boy because you expect him to change. Problem. You don't marry potential. Rav Elia Lopian was a great rabbi in Israel. He said, Lo ma shehaya v'lo ma sheyeh. You have to be happy with the boy the way he is now. Not because his father is very, very religious, but he went off the derech, but he'll come back. No, I don't take such a risk. So number 1, we don't marry someone's potential. The boy needs to be at the matzav that he should be now, achshav. Okay? Number 2, you focus more on chemistry, physical attraction, than on midot. I see that all the time. I see 60-day marriages. I see 180-day marriages. Oh, he's beautiful. I'll give you a story. Nechama and Natan. Nechama was a poor girl, but gorgeous. Natan, his father, was one of the richest guys in town. And he went out with another girl, one girl after the next. And then when he got his chance with Nechama, oh, they're the couple. They were the best couple. They would walk into restaurants, and she would say, look how people are jealous of me. I'm going to go out, the richest guy in town. And they got married. And when they got married, people didn't realize that he had a lot of money, but his father put a lot of pressure on him at work. So he used to be a skinny guy. Now Natan is 15 pounds overweight, 20 pounds overweight. You see some of these guys, they gain weight after they get married. 40 pounds, because his father is always Go here for business. Go there for business. He's never home. She's angry. So she takes the credit cards and starts spending. Bal Harbor Mall and Aventura Mall and all the malls. She's upset. She has no tzumat lev, no attention at all. And then something happens. The father of the boy passes away. And they found out that as many millions of dollars he had in the bank, he had more hovot. Debts. The only thing that he had, was a life insurance policy that paid for the mother of the boy to be able to live a little bit. And because he had to keep her happy, he moved. They moved 5 times until she divorced him. What's the lesson here? They looked only at attraction. No midot whatsoever. They didn't look at character. He went for a girl that was stunning, beautiful. She went for a guy who's rich. What about kind? What about compassionate? What about integrity? What about honesty? What about chesed? What about ka'as? What about kamtzan? These are the things that I teach people all the time. No, that wasn't on the radar at all. You know, there's a guy in America, he's not Jewish, but he's a smart guy. His name is John Gray. He wrote a very famous book 30 years ago. It's still very famous. Men are from the moon, women are from Venus. This guy, you should know, is a Hollywood psychologist. So I have to tell you what he writes. I was amazed in Hollywood to see something I couldn't understand. Women who are gorgeous, actresses, Hollywood actresses, movie stars, would come to me and complain. Their husbands are not sexually attracted to them. And he says, I can't understand why. I could not understand how any man could not be attracted to these gorgeous women. And says, I did my research and I figured it out. They never had any kind of connection other than the body. There was physical chemistry, but there was no soul chemistry. There was no heart chemistry. And when there's only chemistry of the body, without chemistry of the soul, there's no future. So we have to always remember, don't pick just because of attraction. Number 3, you choose the wrong boy because you don't share the same goals in life. So I spoke this morning in Hebrew Academy. I told the girls, you have to decide what you want in life. What do you want? What kind of a boy do you want? How religious do you want the boy to be? You know, I'll give you an example. I had a Sephardi boy in front of me 2 weeks ago, doctor, girl, who's half Sephardi, half Ashkenazi. He's from New York, Miami. He's moving up. He wants his wife to wear a wig. She's considering it, but she doesn't even keep Shabbat. I said, you have a problem here, Shimon. Should keep Shabbat. I said, do you use the elevator on Shabbat? Yes. I said, we have a serious problem here. We have 2 boats going in 2 different directions. So figure out who you are. You understand? You can't match people up if they don't have common hashkafa. The word hashkafa comes from the word mishkafayim, glasses. What does that mean? Love is not 2 people looking at each other. Love is 2 people looking in the same direction. Are we looking in the same direction? That's what we have to say. So that's the next point. You pick the wrong person because he's dominating. I'll give you an example. One of my clients got engaged. She works in Bloomingdale's in New York. So it's time for the boy to come over after the engagement to spend Shabbat with the family. She's sitting next to him and her mother's over there. Her mother asked her a question. Don't talk to your mother. Talk to me. What kind is that? Dominating. Don't talk to her now. Talk to me. Don't ask your daughter questions now. It's controlling her. Completely controlling. Dominating personality. So I have to be careful for that. Number 8.
Well, number 4.
Oh, where am I?
Number 4.
Number 4. Okay. You picked the wrong person because 5, I think 5. You don't put everything on the table. Let me explain that. You have to encourage your daughters that if they see behavior on the date that is not acceptable, they have to speak. They have to have communication. Later on, it's a tragedy. You know how many times I have to see people, girls, wonderful girls, and they're divorced. And I say to them, you didn't see these simanim of the guy, he had an anger problem, or he was not respectful when you were dating? Yeah, but I figured it would go away. Did you talk to anybody about it? No. So, whatever is bothering the person, the girl, you need to encourage her to talk about it. Otherwise, she might be shy and just push it under the carpet. That's important. Next point. You choose the wrong person. This, I hope... What?
An example of that, of the
anger. Cheap. Hits her, God forbid. Screams at her. Abuses her. Yeah. This is something that I hope I never have to worry about in this community. You choose the wrong person because they go to the bedroom before they get engaged. And this is what you hear in people who are not religious, you know. I got to try it out. And we say, you don't have to take the car for a test drive to see if it works. They did a study. In all the cases of divorce, never was it the bedroom was the issue. The issue is character. But we don't have to go to the bedroom to see if I like the car. Next. You pick the wrong person because you don't develop an emotional connection with the person. When someone goes out and tells me they went out 10 times, 12 times, 15 times, it's okay, but I'm just not feeling it. You know what I say to them? You're not asking the right questions. Okay, hold on. Okay, here. I have to send a PDF to you. Here is 100 questions that a boy or girl can ask on a date. I have given this out 20,000 times. Okay? This is how you build an emotional connection. You understand? I'll give you some examples. Some of the questions they can ask each other, the boy and the girl. What are some things you are proud of as an accomplishment? I built a business. I finished a certain Mesechet Gemara. I do chesed with my neighbor's children. Number 2, what does it mean for you to be Jewish? Simple question. Let's get an answer. What are your goals? What would you like to do in the next 5 years? If a girl tells me, well, I want to travel the world and maybe consider settling down, I said, you're not ready to get married. I want to get married. I want to have a house. I want to have 1 or 2 kids. Right? Here's a beautiful question. How have you changed or grown in the last 5 years? Now, you're getting into the kishkes of the person. You're getting to see what they're all about. What makes them tick. Right? Describe a challenge you faced in life and how it made you better. I had a boy from Lakewood come to me last week, 22 years old. He wants to get married. And he's telling me how he became strong. He says, look in the back of my head. He had no hair in 2 spots. When I was 10 years old, I had a brain tumor. And they took me to CHOP, which is Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Hashem, 100%. But because of that, it made me strong. I'm successful in business. So we want to get into their life a little bit, right? Who's your best friend? I want to know. What do you look for in a friend? What midah turns you on in a friend? Is it loyalty? Is it dependability? That I could trust them? Boy, do you have a rabbi? For me, a boy, I don't know how it is in Panama, I don't know. But a boy in New York, if a boy doesn't have a rabbi, red flag. Who's telling him what to do? They don't listen to their parents anymore. That's the way it is. I want a boy that has a Rebbe. Maybe he went to yeshiva in Israel and he talks to his Rebbe or a moreh, someone. I want someone in that guy's life. Otherwise, when there's a problem, nobody can tell him what to do. I want someone he can answer to. You understand? I'll give you an example. Moroccan girl comes to me from the 5 towns, very rich area. She says to me, I went out with this guy, he went to the Mir Yeshiva in Israel. He used to learn 2 hours a day. So we got engaged, and after we got married, 2 hours, an hour and a half, an hour, 45 minutes, a half hour, 15 minutes, no more shul, minyan is his bedroom. I'm in trouble. She's 7 months married. I said to her, should I get divorced? No, I said, wait, who's his rabbi? Let's talk to him. I said, go to his rabbi. He happens to be local. She went to the rabbi. He spoke to his student, fixed the problem. You understand? So, having a madrich is critical. This is a good one for girls. I love this one. Do you do chesed? That's the first shidduch in the history of the world. When Eliezer went looking for a shidduch, what was he looking for? He wasn't looking for money. He wasn't looking for status. He wasn't looking for PhD. Chesed. She said, give me water. You understand?
What's chesed?
Kindness. Kind acts. If the girl volunteers after school to help, if she works with children, if she's an assistant teacher, that means that she has good midot. I like that. Here's another question. If you're feeling down, what would you do to lift your spirits? No, we all deal with stuff, especially since the pandemic. It's a struggle. We all have inner struggles. So I like to listen to music. I exercise. I listen to Shorim on Emunah. Now you hear where I'm going with this? I'm getting to know the person. I'm seeing what they're all about. I'm building a kesher, a connection. I don't want to make a mistake. There's a book in America, a great book called I Only Want to Get Married Once. Zehu. Never again. Right. So.
He doesn't hide it.
Who?
Maybe he drinks.
Watch how he orders at the bar.
Also.
Yeah. Keep an eye.
If they go to the bar, maybe they go to a restaurant. And what do you do when you are anxious? I don't know.
Well, you're not getting engaged to the guy after 4 or 5 dates. So human behavior is like this. People will try to hide only after 3, 4, 5, 6 times, but then they get comfortable, and bam, that's when you catch them. Keep your eyes opened. Remember, dating is a hunt. You're looking for clues. And you're always looking to see if there's what we call in Hebrew stirot, if there's contradictions. He did this now. I'll give you an example. I can give you an example for everything. I see it all. A Bukharian girl, Balat Shuvah, solid girl, Sfaradi girl, says to me, her parents are not religious, but she came religious. She went to Turo. She's a physical therapist. I want a guy who goes to shul every morning, just for shahrit. That's all I want. Right? So, I am going out with a guy, but I'm not sure. So I said, Chana, bring him in. Let me check him out. That's why I have 2 chairs, boy, girl, in front of my office. So I said, listen, I know you're a good guy, but tell me about your schedule. Well, I get up, I try to go to shul, and he lives in Far Rockaway in 5 towns. I go to shul, I learn a little bit after. I said, okay. So I said, Chana, call him up 10 o'clock in the morning. I want to know who he is. Right? 3 days in a row he was sleeping. I said, get rid of him. And he was lying to us. So that's it. Because I have so much more to do. I would like to send this PDF to whoever wants it, and you send it to everybody. But that's how you build an emotional connection. You build an emotional connection through communication. Communication is critical. The girl today and the boy needs to learn how to ask good questions. The knowledge is there. You just have to go get it. Okay, next. You pick the wrong person because you use marriage to escape your life. That's a bad mistake. I hate my parents. I just want to get married and get out of this house. That's not a reason to get married. Because guess what? Your problems will even get worse when you're married. So I give you an example. I have a guy in New York, he's a great guy. And I set him up with a lot of girls, maybe 25 girls. It wasn't going. But the last girl, 28 times, and he didn't take her out for her birthday. So I said, sir, no more girls. You don't know how to treat a woman. So I have to take care of you. I found out he was suffering from anxiety. So I had to send him to a psychiatrist and get pills, anti-anxiety. Then I sent him to therapy to calm him down. And then I created a course for him, how to treat a woman. And then I didn't let him date for 9 months. From January to September. September I set him up and he's getting married in this September 10th. I set him up with a girl, Baruch Hashem. Boom. So if there's an issue, whether it's an emotional issue or any other baggage on the table, deal with it now. Don't send that problem into the future. It's going to come back to bite you. Deal with it. It's very important. You picked the wrong person because that person is involved in a triangle. Maze triangle. Okay, a straight line is 2 points. A triangle is 3 points. That means that boy is not going to love you 100% if it's a triangle. There's something else going on in his life. He's too close to his mother. He has a porn addiction. He loves work. I'll give you an example. A Hasidic girl comes to me, 3 weeks divorced. So what happened? After the Hatuna, we went to the hotel. He's on the phone with his mother for 4 hours. I said, you have a problem? Right? And they just gave the gifts back. Shalom Aleichem. It was over. That's triangulation. Where the guy can never be emotionally available 100% because he has something else going on. Or workaholic. I'll be home. Sure, I'll be home. I'll be home. You know? I had a case of a couple who came to me. Nice, solid Ashkenaz couple. She's 25, 26, 1 child. So what happened? He doesn't want to let me get pregnant. Well, I asked him, so what happened, Shimon? Why not? Well, my mother used to play with my children on the carpet. She doesn't do that. I said, what are you, crazy? Majnun, you know. She's a good woman. She feeds the kids. She's fantastic. She works for a school. She has a good job. Who gave you a heter to not have children? Which rabbi? You went to big yeshiva in Israel. Tell me, who gave you the heter? He didn't answer me. He turns white. He's embarrassed. I said, you were your own rabbi? You decided to put your wife on contraception without reshut from the rabbi? It's tremendous. It's a sin. He couldn't answer me. Now it gets even crazier. That's 2019. Now I'm sitting on my porch. It's the pandemic. It's after the pandemic. It's September 2020. I get a phone call from the Beit Din in New York. Rabbi Dr. Cohen, we want your records for this case. Makara says she wants to get a get. Why? Well, we put an investigator on this guy. He wasn't home for 50 nights. You know where he was, I'm not telling you. Not a good place. You know. Issues. So we have to make sure we check that out. So that's triangling. What number am I up to?
10.
10. Okay. Okay, I'll explain number 10. Number 10 really is for the men. But I'll teach it to you. There's a concept called, but I don't want to give you ammunition to hurt the husbands. I'll tell you anyway. There's a concept called makom rishon. Makom rishon is that a woman needs to get quality attention. That's very important. And if the man doesn't give the woman quality attention, it's a problem. So when the girl goes out on a date, she needs to make sure that the guy's not always checking his emails and phone and WhatsApp. There's no place for that. He has to give her quality attention. Oh, I have to tell you a story that I told them this morning. I thought it was fantastic. Girls sometimes don't give themselves enough credit. My son, right now, is in a place called Yeshivat Hebron, Yerushalayim. It's a very, very famous yeshiva. And there was a Brit Milah maybe 30 years ago in this yeshiva between the Rosh Yeshiva's son, Ashkenaz, and he married the granddaughter of the Gera Rebbe, Hasidish. It's like mixing oil and water. It just doesn't happen. And they invited to the Brit Milah celebration the son of Hacham Ovadia Yosef, the grandson of the Chavetz Chaim, the sons of all the big Hasidic Rebbes and all the big Rosh Yeshivot. And the man who's speaking is the mashkiach of the yeshiva. And he says, I know, I'm looking at the audience, and I'm sure you're all proud. It was my Saba that did the most for Klal Yisrael in the last 100 years. And I'm here to tell you, you're all wrong. None of your Sabas did it. And I'm going to tell you something. The person who did the most for Klal Yisrael in the last 100 years never learned a page of Gemara. Who was he talking about? He said, when I tell you who it is, you will agree that I'm right. The person who did the most for Klal Yisrael in the last 100 years wasn't a man. It was a woman. Her name was Sarah Shnira. She started the Beit Yaakov movement. And the Chavetz Chaim told her, you saved Klal Yisrael. Because at the time, a lot of the Jewish girls were becoming not religious. In Europe, there was a Haskalah. A lot of the girls left Yiddishkeit, left Judaism, and she saved it. She started the school system in Austria, Poland, Germany, everywhere. If not for her, we would be off the map. And he said, I know everyone in the room will agree that I'm right. So this is the power of a Jewish woman. Okay, so now I'm going to ask some questions. Ask your daughter, or rather, let me ask you, are you ready to let her go? That's an important question. Are you ready to let her? Some are not ready to let their daughters go. So that's a question you have to ask yourself. Number two, are you projecting your ideas, your fantasies, and your desires on her life? This is what I want for you. This is what is best for you. I got that question from so many girls this morning. My parents and I have different ideas of what we want. So I said to them, with Derech Eretz, communicate to your parents what you're looking for. You understand? But the worst thing you can do is force your daughter into a relationship that she doesn't want, because that fulfills your social status. Be careful. You're going to make someone very not happy. Next, what does your daughter know about marriage? The responsibilities about marriage. The requirements about marriage. Is she ready for that? That's something you have to ask. Sadly, many young people don't know a lot about marriage, what's involved. There are bills to pay. There's responsibilities. You can't just, I'll give you an example. You ready for this one? Here. A girl calls me from Belgium, Antwerp. 7 months, divorced. Married a guy from Israel. How did he? What happened? Well, he moved to Belgium, to Antwerp. He opens a credit card in my name. He likes hotels for Shabbat. 4 or 5-star hotels. After 5 months, $160,000 in debt. And he divorced her. Be careful. You understand? You have to know what's involved. You have to be smart. Marriage can offer happiness, but it's work. So the questions you want to ask your daughter is, are you ready? Do you want to get married? And don't put too much pressure on her. Now, what are some of the problems to look out for? Unrealistic fantasies. Today, Yishlanu, we have this. It's called the cell phone. And the media has corrupted us. Gorgeous guys, Hollywood stars, and our feet are not on the ground anymore. We don't know what we're looking for anymore, because the Yetzer Hara is poisoning our minds. And the girl has secular media teaching her what's good for her and what's not good for her. These are people who are the lowest people in the world, teaching us what's good for us. I'll give you an example. You got to hear this one. There's a rabbi in Monsey, New York. Maybe I can ask someone for water. Yeah. I'm going to wait for her because it's not fair. I wanted to hear this story. His name is Ephraim Waxman. By the Ashkenazim, he's big. Anyway, in Monsey, New York is a very rich area. Beautiful, big houses. So, very wealthy people, neighbors of the rabbi. His son was getting engaged, but he had a problem with his skin. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so they said, you're going to get married in 2 weeks. We got to fix this problem. He had a problem on his face with his skin. So she makes an appointment with the best dermatologist in Manhattan. $1,000 for every appointment. Okay. He comes and he's waiting. He's a good boy, yeshiva boy. He brings his sefer with him, he's reading. The waiting room is pretty crowded, and then suddenly, some rock star comes in with yellow hair and pink hair. And everyone said, wow, look who's in the room. Some star from Hollywood, you know. And somebody goes to him, look who's in the room. He goes, I don't know who she is. So now, the nurse behind the counter finds out that this Jewish guy doesn't know who the rock star is, right? So the word starts, the Lashon Hara wheel goes, did you see this guy? He's so tamim, he doesn't know anything. So when he finally goes into the doctor to see him, he says, so you're getting married, huh? Your mother told me in 2 weeks. Yeah. You're one of those pre-arranged marriages, right? Like you religious people? Yeah, he says, Maskin, you don't know anything about marriage. You're not civilized. Today you have to go out, clubs and party. This boy was smart. He says, doctor, before you give me advice, how many times were you married? 5. He says, I don't need advice from you. The Torah tells me how to live just fine. So be careful who's giving us advice. So, yeah, and we say Walt Disney, who built the Disneyland, made life like a fantasy. And sometimes young girls have fantasies, but they're not realistic. So we have to be careful with that. Not living in reality.